Good morning. Today I'm going to be in here doing a bit of painting because I overdid it in the garden yesterday, and I had a couple of people say they're really missing me not putting on my painting videos. So what I've actually done is my daughter-in-law has asked me to do a special present for a person from her work. So I did a practice one, which is here. So you can see it's sort of like a sunshiny painting with words on the top. But of course, the words, the lettering, I'm not very good at. So what I've done is I've purchased a stencil so I can actually make sure when I go to do the lettering, I get it straight and it's in a better positioning. So that was my practice run. So as you can see, it does look, if you actually look at the picture underneath, you've got a beautiful beachscape, you've got nice skies, you've got the little birds, and you've got a nice bit of sea. So what I'm going to try and do is very, very similar again. So I've got my paper ready, the right size for the frame. I've got my Winsor & Newton paints there, and because I want to do the sand, the nice glittery ones, I've got my Winsor & Newton glitter paints there as well. So it'll be a little, so because it's all background, and it's really the most important thing on this painting is the words, because that is the sort of joke. But so what I've actually done is already on my page, I've just done the horizon line with a straight line using a ruler, and then a slightly diagonal line. So this is a watercolour pencil. So once I start adding the water, it will blend in. So I haven't got to use a rubber or anything like that. So because I learnt when I was on my cruise about the sky, putting some yellow in, I will automatically put yellow, some nice yellow shading on my paint pot, on my actual sort of here, as you can see here on my palette. So again, we don't clean the palette because we want some of those smudgy colours. So what I'm going to start off with is just put some blobby bits over the top of the painting, because I want the background of the actual sky, I want some yellow in there. So what I'm going to do is, of course, I want a bit of yellow to start off the sand. So I shall blob along as my undercoat the yellow. But of course, my sea, I'll want like a nice blue. So again, I don't want it to be too blue. I shall start off with this sort of colour, like a greeny colour. That'll be ideal. So that'll be my background for the actual sea. So all I should do is just put a few bits across on my sea, just to give a little bit of background colour. So all I've got is just some wet, leaving lots of white on the paint, on the paper, because of course that will be very important, a lot of the white. So that is basically my undercoat. Can you see? There's a yellow in the sky, blue on the sea, and yellow on the sand. Next step, I want the bright colour blue. Now I'm using my favourite brush, but because now I really need to start being a little bit more intricate because it's a small picture, I will use a slightly smaller brush. This time I will want, in my little bit here, I will definitely have to put my colour blue. See this colour here? And I've not done it too dry, but what a beautiful colour for blobbing onto the sky. So what I shall do is, on top of the yellow, I'm going to mix in some of this blue right down to the horizon, because we don't want to have too much gaps, but we know that colour blue will make beautiful clouds, beautiful, because even with the yellow in the sky, again, we want plenty of yellow, because of then that's going to give the impression of some sunshine coming through. So yeah, I'm happy, I'm very happy with the sky. So I'm just blending it a little bit because I don't want it to be too bold. Okay, so if I just lift that up for you there, so you can see the clouds appearing in the sky. Now the water is, I really want it a lot more greeny, don't I? So I can still use that same sort of colouring to mix up, but we, you know, because the sky can't be the same colour as the sea. So I've put a little bit more blue, and all I'm going to do is a few lines across just to give it the sea sort of shape. I'm definitely going to put on the sea like some of the horizon, because as we all know, when you do horizon, it tends to be darker, so we can blend it more in. So as you can see, just using this on here, I'm blending the horizon in slightly darker, and then all I'm going to be doing is just sort of lots of little lines, This is what my favourite therapeutic bit. So I can even do a little bit of this upright. So see what I'm doing? I'm just putting lots of little lines, because we want it to look as much like sea, but of course down here there's going to be lots more white because of it, you know, you get all little bits, don't you, from the little waves, and you know, when you actually get this sort of like the leftover bits of all the white bits. So I can actually put a little bit of body and shape in this little bit, but of course I've saved myself some nice white there, so I'll do lots of little lines. But of course, as we go along doing this, I will change the colouring. I'll put a bit more green in it. There'll be lots more different colours, but this is just basically the under bit. And because the most important thing about this picture is all going to be the words on it, so, but it doesn't mean to say I'm not going to spend my time and make it all beautiful, because of this is a painting by Sally, and I want it to look like my painting, which of course it is. And there you see on here, how easy is that? So this is, like I said, this is our therapy painting. You know, you're not doing this just for other people, but of course I'm doing this for other people. But if you're doing it to enjoy for yourself. See the lots of white I've left on there? So hopefully you can see how easy this is, what I'm doing. Now what I need to do is the sand, because the sand, what colour shall I use? I can use this bronzy one or this gold one. How about I mix the two? I can mix it in here. We mix it all up. Let's have a little look what colour that will be. Oh, it looks very good, this colour. So if I put that in there, and it's got like a little bit of a glimmer, and I will put a little tiny bit of the gold glimmer next to it as well. Okay, there we go. See this little mixture here? It's a really nice sort of wet mixture. So what I need to do now is on here bring in this colour. Oh, look at that. Oh, that's really nice, isn't it? It's got a little bit of glimmer to it, and we can bring it right down on here. Hasn't got to be too neat because of it's sand, isn't it? And put a bit more water on it to spread it a little bit. So the colouring, this would be just the background of the sand. I can add more dark into it because we will be having a plant or some greenery in front of it. But of course, we still want it to look like sand. But because the ultimate thing on this picture is that it is for a present and it is the words, it's like a poster picture, we still need it to look, we've still got to be happy with our picture, haven't we? So I'm now breaking up the edge in here. So of course the sand is, a little bit of the sand is in the water on there, a little bit more. So often you get little footprints in the sand, don't you? So we can do some blobs here, little blobs here, because you do get smaller footprints up the end there, and bigger footprints there, and that's what would happen on the sand. And you can't quite work out why, but that is some marks on the sand. Right, okay. Let's show you as it's coming along what we're thinking so far. Right, it's looking good. So I need now to just make it look just a little bit more intricate. On the actual sea, what I want to do is bring in a slightly different colour. I want to bring in that really, really beautiful, like light colour blue. Now this is this colour blue here is on my metallic one. So I'm just going to use the bright blue straight from the palette, right from the colour block. And I am going to just put a few little lines in. Little lines, because this is the most beautiful colour on here. And always wear old clothes when you're painting, because as you can see, I do put my arms in the wet bits. That's part and parcel, isn't it, of doing some art. Okay, so yeah, I'm happy with this colouring, because this will just give it a little bit of shimmer. So when I just put the little black bits on, I'll just put some blobby little bits on there, because I just want it to look like, we don't want it to look too neat, because that is part and parcel of how I'm painting it. Right, so you might think, oh, that hardly shows, but it's those little finishing little bits which makes us make it individual. Right, now can you see just an extra little bit of that pretty little colour on there? It makes it look very cute. Yeah. And I've got one of these cloudy bits up here. This bit here is a bit too shaped. So what I shall do is I shall get my paintbrush. I've put water on it, and what I'm going to do is actually blob a bit of water around that. Sprinkle a bit of water around it. And then I'm going to go. There we go. That will just make it not look quite so neat. There, I'm happy with that. And then I shall take my brush, and I shall just like slightly bring out it in, like just slightly on there. Make it, that's good, very good on there. Right, liking it? Yes. So what I need to do now is just on the corner, I need to have a little bit of greenery. I can have it on the left-hand side, or I can have it on the right-hand side. On this one, I did put it on the right-hand side, but I might do it the opposite way around this time. You know, just a little tiny bit of greenery, just so, because you do, as you know, when you go to the beach, there are often little bits of greenery on there, where I'm going to be putting this on here. And got my little bit of paintbrush, and I can just put some little lines on there. Nothing too spectacular, because, you know, this is the whole point, is just to make it look a bit like a beach. And as we know, it's not intricate when you go to a beach, is it? You just get like the odd little bit of greenery, and on the sand you get like little tiny bits. There. Okay, there we go. That's looking good. So what I'm going to do now, I'll just slide it across, you can see. All it needs is the little birds in the sky, but I'm not going to put the birds in till I've done the lettering. So I now need to leave this to dry, so then I can salify it to make it as the backdrop. Hopefully you can see how nice that's looking. So I'll leave that to dry, and we'll come back to that and put the lettering on. So then it should look more like this one, and it'll go in a nice frame as a present for a lady at my daughter-in-law's work. Thank you for watching. Come back, I'll add this into a playlist so you can actually see the before and after. Thank you so much for watching. See you later. Bye for now, Sally.